Okay, let's dive into this. When you think about it, we live on a blue planet, right? 3/4 of the Earth's surface is covered in water, and thanks to the good old hydrological cycle, it's a constantly renewing resource. So, on a planet that's literally overflowing with water that keeps regenerating, how on Earth could we possibly be running out? It's a massive paradox, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
So this is the big question at the heart of it all. It seems like it should have a simple answer. I mean, if water is everywhere and it just keeps coming back, scarcity shouldn't even be a thing. But it is. And the scale of the problem is just staggering. It really makes you stop and ask, what are we getting fundamentally wrong here?
And this is why it's so critical. By 2025, it's predicted that nearly 2 billion people will be living in places with absolute water scarcity. We're not talking about some distant sci-fi future. That is right on our doorstep. A number like that just changes everything. It takes this from a curious paradox to a full-blown global crisis.
Now, when we hear water scarcity, our minds usually jump to images of deserts, right? Maybe parts of Rajasthan, with people walking for miles just to get a single pot of water. And yeah, low rainfall is definitely part of the equation, but it is nowhere near the whole story. The real reasons are often much, much more complex, and a lot closer to home than we think.
So here's the kicker. A lot of the time, scarcity is actually man-made. Agriculture, for one, is a huge water guzzler, with farms over-pumping groundwater to grow more crops. Then you've got our booming cities and industries, all demanding more and more. It's also a question of fairness, who gets the water and who doesn't. But the really crucial point is this. Scarcity isn't just about the amount of water, it's also about its quality.
And this right here perfectly illustrates that point. Think about it. So many of our cities have rivers flowing right through them. Plenty of water, technically. But if that water is choked with industrial waste, chemicals, and pesticides, it's totally useless to us. You can literally be surrounded by water and still not have a single safe drop to drink.
So facing these huge challenges after independence, India went looking for a grand solution, a big answer to a big problem. And that answer, it seemed, was to tame its mighty rivers with absolutely massive, ambitious engineering projects. This was seen as the only way forward, the path to progress.
This really powerful quote from India's first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, just perfectly captures that initial vision. You see, dams weren't just seen as concrete and steel, they were symbols of a new, modern, self-reliant India. They were going to be the temples where the country's bright future would be forged.
And the idea was for them to do it all. I mean, these were called multi-purpose projects for a reason. The water they stored would be used for irrigation, to feed the nation, to generate clean hydroelectricity for industry, to supply water to the cities, and even to control those devastating floods. On paper, it looked like the perfect all-in-one fix.
But in recent years, a lot of questions have started to pop up. These temples have come under some really intense scrutiny. That grand vision has been seriously challenged by people pointing out the severe and often unintended consequences of these megaprojects. The Great Dam debate is officially on.
Now this slide really lays out the central conflict, the massive tug-of-war. On one side, you've got all the intended benefits, water for farms and cities, clean power, flood control, you name it. But on the other side, the drawbacks are just devastating. Dams completely mess with a river's natural flow, which is terrible for aquatic life. They displace huge numbers of people, often the poorest communities. And get this for irony, by causing sediment to pile up, they can actually end up triggering the very floods they were built to prevent.
So, if that big, top-down industrial solution is so full of problems, what's the alternative? Well, what if we looked to a completely different philosophy, one that's ancient, small-scale, and community-driven? Let's talk about ancient water wisdom.
And we're not talking about some new idea here, not at all. India has this incredible, sophisticated tradition of water management that goes back for centuries. I mean, from channeling the floodwaters of the Ganga over 2,000 years ago to building one of the largest artificial lakes of its time in the 11th century, people have always found these brilliant ways to live with water, not just control it.
And what's so amazing is how diverse these techniques were. They were perfectly adapted to the local environment. In the Himalayas, you had channels called ghouls or khools to divert stream water. In the deserts of Rajasthan, they would collect every precious drop of rain from their roofs into underground tanks called tankas. In Bengal, they dug inundation channels for their fields. These weren't one-size-fits-all megaprojects, they were ingenious local solutions.
And, you know, it's about more than just the engineering. There's this deep cultural connection.
In Rajasthan, for instance, rainwater that's been harvested isn't just water. It's called palar pani, and it's considered the absolute purest form of natural water. It's valued, it's respected. That's a whole different mindset from just turning on a tap.
Okay, now this is just incredible. Check this out. In Meghalaya, there's a 200-year-old irrigation system that uses bamboo pipes to tap into streams. The water travels, sometimes for hundreds of meters, through this network of pipes. And with clever positioning, they control the flow until it's reduced to just 20 to 80 drops per minute, delivered right at the root of the plant. It's an absolutely astonishing example of efficiency and sustainable design.
And this ancient wisdom isn't just stuck in the past. It's actively being turned into modern policy. Take Tamil Nadu. It's the first and so far only state in India to make rooftop rainwater harvesting compulsory for every single house. This isn't just a friendly suggestion. There are actual legal penalties if you don't do it. Now that's a serious commitment.
And if you want to see this working today, look no further than the village of Gendathur in Karnataka. Here, about 200 households just decided to install their own rooftop rainwater harvesting systems to fix their water problems. This wasn't some government mega project. This was the community itself taking charge.
And the results? Get this. The village now harvests a net amount of 100,000 liters of rainwater every single year. Gendathur has earned this rare distinction of being rich in rainwater. It just goes to show you that these traditional methods aren't just quaint relics. They are powerful, viable solutions for today.
Which, of course, brings us to the final question, doesn't it? When we look ahead, where does the real answer for our water future lie? Is it in building more temples of modern India, even bigger dams, even grander projects? Or is it in the quiet, brilliant wisdom of a bamboo pipe, a rooftop tank, and a community working together? You know, maybe the true solution isn't about choosing one over the other, but finally figuring out the right balance between them.